shocking. I mean, it's interesting, and it will be a different way to get people hooked into material like this than anything you would generally normally encounter at the Corbett Report, for example. Speaking of very, very different ways of presenting, let's take a hard turn here and suddenly go into a very different communicative visual style. In this case, the satirical, biting, chaotic, anarchic art of the underground zine world. What I imagine Mad magazine used to be like, way back when it first started. Genuinely satirical and genuinely subversive. Obviously hasn't been that for many decades, but at any rate, something along those lines, captured in 2022? What? What era is this? Are we still in print media? Yes, we are. There are people who are keeping it alive. And specifically, in this case, I'm referring to Christy and Scott McKenzie, who are the editors of a magazine called Flip City Magazine. And I received a bunch of their magazines and a little cover letter. Dear James, thank you so much for accepting our publication, Flip City Magazine, for review. We've been enjoying your Solutions Watch program as we launched our own solution in February 2020 in hopes of providing an alternative to screaming into the digital void and voting for change. Practicing tried and true dissent through comedy and art on actual physical paper keeps our readers laughing despite the pain of that darned boot on their neck. We plan on continuing to grow, spreading our brand of ridicule to effectively file down the fangs of the establishment, hoping issues 7 to 10 of Flip City bring you a few chuckles. So, as I say, they did send several copies of different issues of their magazine to me, and I've been perusing them recently. As I say, genuinely satirical, genuinely cutting, but also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun. For example, Flip City issue 7 features McCommunism, over 100 million starved, extreme Karening, and sexy Fauci centerfold, and it delivers on everything it promises, including, well, I don't know about the sexy part, but there's the Fauci centerfold, and again, some satirical art that brings attention to things that you certainly will not be seeing in mainstream media of any sort, or anything you're likely to see on the newsstand at your local supermarket or something like that. This is certainly not for everyone. It is genuinely quite biting satire, and I'm sure there are people who would be offended by this. And this certainly does go into the culture war areas of the what's happening right now in ways that I'm sure there would be people who would be offended by that. But I think that is actually the point of this. So I've displayed a bit of what this looks like on screen if you're watching the video presentation of this, but let's turn to a conversation that I just recorded with Scott and Christy McKenzie, the editors of Flip City Magazine, about what it is they do and how they got started.
Well, with all the changes in life and the social scene, we had a lot of material with nowhere to go for it. We had a lot of ideas that were good for animation. We thought, we saw a gap in the market. There is no populist satire magazine anymore for the nation. All we have is Mad Magazine, and we know Mad Magazine sold out to major corporations 40 years ago. They're nothing but a woke manufacturing propaganda arm, and they're rather worthless. So we needed a magazine like this to do formats that you can't do in cartoons on the web, and something that would go in print and be in the hands of people so that they could keep it in the event of the power and the internet goes down. And so we worked all of our ideas into Flip City Magazine.
I'm glad you said that, because as I was reading this and I was looking through it, and I was thinking to myself, what is the analogy here? What is this like? And the thought that I had was like, this is probably what Mad Magazine was when it first started. When it was genuinely subversive and like really satirical and actually cut. But by the time I was growing up, Mad Magazine was, I'm sure, a shadow of its former self. And now I don't even want to know what it's like at this point. So, yeah, I'm trying to think what's the genuinely subversive, really cuttingly satirical thing these days. And I can't think of anything quite like this. Certainly not in print. That's the surprising thing about this. Who's doing print magazines anymore? Why did you decide to do print?
Because we're insane. No.
We're crazy, but it just seemed like the right thing to do to get it in people's hands. And when we launched it, we had choices of a digital release and a paper release, and people overwhelmingly wanted the paper in their hands. Otherwise, we may not have printed it at all.
I understand that. Obviously, from my perspective and what I do, I think it's good to preserve actual printed material. But I mean, just for the sake of what it is, it feels like it needs to be a physical thing in real life rather than something on a screen. Because there's a lot that's on the screen that we can, it would just be another meme type of thing. But here it is, there's a reality to it that I appreciate. All right, you have, as I say, it's very cuttingly satirical. I guarantee there will be people in the audience who would be actually genuinely offended by some of the things in here, and I think that's probably part of the point, right?
Yes, we do challenge people, and we don't give a flip about offending anybody. So, yeah.
I just had a penny drop. Flip City, as in flipping off. Is that it? I didn't even think of that.
Take it as you please.
All right, so what kinds of things do you cover?
Well, we cover politics. We'll go at both of the parties, and mostly about it's cultural and about social trends and changes. So anything that's on the board, anything that's not quite right in the world is a target.
Right. I very much get the sense there's a lot of the culture war stuff in here. I am particularly interested in the sort of the send up of the corona hoax garbage and the people propounding that. Fauci, obviously a regular target. And I note that you do have a YouTube channel where you do have animations, including a Stephen Colbert animation, which I found... I like that one a lot because I really dislike Colbert. So it was a good send-up. Tell us about your animation as well.
Well, I've kind of been doing this for decades. I came out of an art school, so I had the training to do that kind of stuff. And some ideas just work well that way. The magazine is the baseline, and then some ideas just lend themselves to that. So we sketch them out and put some funny voices on it as often as we can. We'd love to take some of the franchise ideas we have in the magazine and make more out of them. It takes a lot of teamwork and budget. So we're pushing in that direction, and we hope to be able to release more stuff like that in the future.
So how does the contributors work? Do you solicit contributions? Do people send you stuff? How does that happen?
Well, we've made call-outs on podcasts before and gotten big responses from artists. Actually, we did issues 1 through 3 all by ourselves. We didn't have any contributors until number 4 when we got Dangerous Dave McDowell, and we got the amazing Gary Locke from the American Spectator and other publications to come in and do some pages for us, and that went so well it attracted more attention, and so we've got a roster of about 20 people to pick from now.
Nice. Do you have a favorite issue so far?
What do you think?
I love issue 2's cover with Bill Gates. Yeah, James, we didn't send you that one, but I thought this kind of went along with your Gates thing. I love the cover on this one. I don't have a particular favorite issue. All of them are my favorite.
I'd like to think it's getting better and better. I mean, initially we weren't doing anything editorial, and we were looking for comic artists, but we had editorial artists come in too. And just because a picture isn't outrightly funny doesn't mean you can't write something funny to complement it, and kind of expand the scope of the whole magazine with some puzzle pages and quizzes and articles, and open it up a little bit. And I think it's improved.
Yeah, again, I do appreciate that. As you say, crossword puzzles and all sorts of fun stuff in here. It genuinely has that sort of anarchic feel of old style Mad Magazine or something like that, back when there was genuine satire to go around. This is a physical print magazine. How do people get their hands on it?
Well, you'd go to flipcitymag.com and just link through to our store and purchase from there. It's a rather easy thing to do. So yeah, flipcitymag.com is where you can find us. Yeah,
you can get our latest issue 11. You can get all the past 10 issues before it and subscribe, and you'll get the next issue 12. You'll get 6 issues starting from there.
Awesome. I will definitely link that up in the show notes. And any social medias you want to promote?
Yeah, you can find everything on flipcitymag.com. We'd love to grow our YouTube subscriptions so that we can have it all taken away.
That's the spirit. All right. Thank you, guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thanks,
Thank you,
James.
Once again, that is Scott and Christy McKenzie of FlipCityMag.com. As we mentioned there, they also have a YouTube channel that I'll link up in the show notes so that you can go explore that. This will definitely be for some people and definitely not for others. So as they have a quote on their about part of their YouTube channel, too edgy and vulgar for our audience, the Babylon Bee. So that gives you a sense of where they sit in the media spectrum. Too far outside for the outside the mainstream. At any rate, again, you can go and check that out for yourself and see if it resonates with you. Or potentially, as they mentioned, contributors have found them through podcasts they've been on and have submitted material and have gone on to do things for the magazine. So if you are artistically inclined and if that's up your alley, maybe you want to get in touch with them. At any rate, you can find out more at flipcitymag.com. Now,